Welcome back to the Overthinking Podcast, the show for women navigating fitness and life in a world that makes everything way more complicated than it needs to be. We're your hosts. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Bree.
And if you're here, chances are you're tired of overthinking every fitness trend that demands us to shrink and has us feeling like we're failing at a system that never wanted to see us win.
This podcast is your space for honest conversations, evidence based guidance, and permission to do things differently. So you can stop spiraling, start trusting yourself, and build a better version of health. Today's episode is calling out the discourse around the Pilates hype. And before you begrudge us, our hot take actually might surprise you. So let's talk about the Pilates discourse moment that's happening right now. It feels like it's on every corner of the internet as like a hot take. The reformers girlies swear by like the long and lean outcomes, and the strength training warriors are kind of just denouncing it, saying it's like a frou-frou movement modality. So once again, we are misinformed or pulled in different directions. So we're going to clear it up for you guys today.
Yeah, and once again, the internet is overwhelming us and forgetting a little nuance, of course. What gets lost in translation is that it doesn't have to be this or situation, but our goal for today's episode is to help you understand the why of each, what the research tells us, and how to build a movement menu that helps you reach your goals based on your desires and preferences.
Exactly. And we're going to help you fit it all in without losing your mind. We'll start with the basics on what Pilates is, the origin, and the why behind it was created. And then we'll also compare it to resistance training with research studies that have come out comparing the results and how people stay consistent with one versus the other.
So, Pilates was actually developed by a guy named Joseph Pilates back in the early
Joe
1900s.
Pilates.
Joe Pilates.
Who'd have thought that Pilates was made by a man?
Of course it was. That's all I've got to say.
Yep. Just like Barbie, Victoria's Secret.
Yep. Yep. Anyway, he was a German physical trainer who created this system originally for rehabilitation. Think post World War I injury recovery. The methods were initially called controlology, which is funny. The whole method is built around controlled movement, breath work, core engagement, and stability.
And it is defined in research as a mind body method that focuses on strength, core stability, flexibility, muscle control, posture, and breathing. So it's not just about the physical expression, the physical movement itself. There's a whole intentional mindfulness component to it, and which is actually where a lot of the benefits come from. And we know this from resistance training conversations, right? It's not about the intent or the chaos, it's about the intent. So on the research of Pilates is really interesting because it has some of these wins shared within the research.
The biggest one is for back pain. There's a meta analysis from 2022 that looked at different exercise modalities for chronic low back pain. And while all types of exercise were actually beneficial in managing pain, except for stretching, which is interesting, compared to inactivity. So, Pilates and core based training actually scored slightly better in terms of low back pain improvement. And these benefits were seen when the program included 1 to 2 Pilates sessions that focused on core based strength for 3 to 9 weeks.
Yeah, and this is where, we look at a lot of the people who have like osteoporosis or are postpartum ladies who are dealing with pelvic or abdominal issues, or just those of us who are struggling with bracing under axial load or heavy um, compression on the spine. So Pilates offers this like low impact and closed chain control that improves trunk strength and posture without that joint heavy loading. Um, Another thing that was really interesting is on that postpartum pelvic floor context, trials not strictly recomposition focused showed improvements in pelvic floor function, diastasis related symptoms, and posture. So even if like the DEXA results around body composition didn't change, it showed that Pilates is a huge win in terms of how your body feels and moves, not just, percent body fat and weight, which is what the common metrics we use for success are.
Right. And maybe that's my sign to try Pilates since I've had chronic back pain for a while.
Ye and that's a good point. I mean, for some people who, get injured or have these chronic pain issues and feel kind of lost, there's actually another interesting thing about the studies around Pilates is that deconditioned or even, like, people who haven't been training actually have higher adherence because people with like, who are overweight or obese, typically it's adherence is the issue, right? But they find Pilates to be more enjoyable, more low impact formats that are just more accessible and allow you to be more adherent. So for this population, even just 2 to 3 times a week, Pilates can deliver clinically relevant fat loss and functional gains that they may not actually get in resistance training right away, but could be a gateway to resistance training later on.
Yeah. I think on that note, like when we have someone starting anything new, right, you're going to see some progress. So we don't want that to be misleading as to say, oh, Pilates equals fat loss. But when you start any regimen, whether it's strength training, whether it's Pilates, whether it's Orange Theory, you will have the newbie gains no matter what you do. And we'll get to some of the bread and butter of like what really works when you are an advanced trainer or advanced training age.
Yeah.
Um,
And we actually talked about this in one of our more recent episodes that like starting isn't actually the hardest part. If you just start and get a couple sessions in and actually track your progress, that's going to have a bigger impact on your long-term body composition in relation to your body than just like starting the perfect movement modality and then hoping and not retracting your results.
Mhm. Yes. And I think it's evident that Pilates is good for that mind muscle connection and core strength to build the deep core muscles like your transverse abdominis, your internal obliques, your multifidus, the muscles that actually stabilize your spine. And I can speak to that in my back pain recovery when I started doing breath work specifically alongside my strength training is really when I saw the most improvement in my low back pain because I was breathing into those deep core muscles and learning how to breathe and not just like holding all of my like organs in, right?
Okay. There's a lot of really good research on this, and a lot of it comes from Brad Schoenfield, who studies muscle hypertrophy specifically. And his work shows that if you want to build muscle, you need about 10 plus sets per week per muscle group. And that's where we say sets, we're talking about hard sets. We're talking about like RPE 7 to 9 plus, not just going through the motions, and you need to be challenging the muscle. So in Pilates, you don't have weights to kind of have that level of accountability. You have cables, you have the mirror, there's other things of accountability, but it's not the same. So his 2017 meta-analysis found that this dose response relationship, where each additional set per week associated with about 0.37% increase in muscle growth. So the more volume equals more growth, right? But up to a point.
Yes. So I think what you're saying is that Pilates might not have that component that strength training does to like protect your bones and change your body composition in the way that most people desire, right? So what does that look like practically when we say we want to grow our glutes, right? So you'd want to hit somewhere between 10 to 20 sets of a glute biased exercise per week. So that could be 4 sets of hip thrusts twice a week, plus one or two accessory movements like Bulgarian split squats or glute bridges. And that's your glute focus program. And the rep schemes matter too, right?
Yeah. And so the other part that I wanted to highlight is that Pilates is just not you're not able to track how many sets you're doing. That's the point we're trying to make here is that in specific hypertrophy, the way that's been studied is there's this progressive overload in terms of volume and in terms of the effort. Pilates does bring a lot of intensity around effort and intentionality, but when it comes to volume, it isn't as scalable or as easily calculated because you don't know what you're going to get when you walk into class. So for hypertrophy, muscle growth, and for recomposition, which means increase in muscle growth, decrease in body fat, you're looking at 8 to 12 reps for accessory or isolation work, about 12 to 20. So your bread and butter needs to be around 8 to 12. This has kind of since been outdated a bit, but really, regardless of rep ranges, and rep ranges are kind of irrelevant related to how much intensity you're bringing, how long the muscle is under tension, and how intense that tension is. So effort and intention matter. Taking sets to failure is what drives adaptation.
Yep. And another interesting piece of Schoenfeld's work that this study outlined is frequency. He demonstrated that training each muscle group at least twice per week is better for hypertrophy than hitting it once. So spread it out. Don't just do all your leg work on one day and call it good. Your body responds best to a consistent stimulus with ample recovery between.
Yep. And so let's just recap where Pilates wins or meaningfully complements strength training. So, pain limited or joint limited people. So, where you have back issues, postpartum, you're in a season where there's some acute stuff going on, Pilates could be great for you and could be a great entry point. For people who are like higher BMI, obese, deconditioned people, this can be just a more enjoyable and better entry point for people than just throwing themselves in the gym sometimes. And it can also be a gateway drug for resistance training later, right? And then for those, high stress, poor sleep, can't recover, Pilates is a great way to stay connected to your body, even when you're in this fight or flight, can't recover, can't digest food. Pilates is a great way for you to just to bring more connection to your body. And there's a lot, more that goes into that depending on how woo-woo you'll let me get. But overall, as a complement to resistance training and trained individuals, especially for someone already doing 2 to 3 resistance training sessions a week, adding 1 to 2 Pilates can improve trunk control, mobility, better recovery practices without competing much for systemic recovery, right? You're not dampening the whole system. So,
Yes.
data showed improved flexibility, aerobic capacity, and relatively low time demands and just it was fun, right? It kind of gave them a compliment to support resistance training and actually pushing it there.
Yeah. So, what is Pilates not doing? The big one is obviously progressive overload, which we mentioned. So,
Mhm.
in order to build muscle, you need to continuously challenge your muscles with increasing resistance. And Pilates, whether it be mat or reformer, has a ceiling. Like reformer springs only go so heavy and your body weight plateaus. That's just the reality.
Exactly, and the research does back this up. And, not to say that we have a war on Orange Theory here, but this is one of our biggest complaints about the group fitness cardio bunny thing, or just like the class vibe in general, whether it be Pilates, F45, Orange Theory. You go to these classes, but they're always different, right? They're throwing stuff at the wall, they're keeping it engaging and fun, which is great. It is exciting because the stimulus is always changing. But if you're going to group fitness and you want to progress and you want to attack a specific goal, these classes aren't going to be beneficial to you unless they are like a movement menu side that makes the main thing just taste a little bit better.
Right. Right. And maybe your progress has stalled, and this might be why. One more thing that Pilates doesn't really shine at is bone density. And this is so critical for women, especially in our 30 plus. It's time to start thinking about this because
Yeah.
Pilates isn't loaded as heavy as standard strength training. Pilates doesn't have the magnitude to effectively stimulate bone cells, and we need higher impact and heavy resistance.
Yeah. And again, the studies keep showing this, which is actually kind of fun to talk about with this episode, is that there's a lot of data here. So, over 2 dozen studies shown a direct positive relationship between resistance training and bone density. So, one study showed 1.82% increase in bone mineral density in the lumbar spine, just lumbar spine, after 6 months of consistent resistance training. Kelsey, you're telling me you've been dealing with back pain for a long, long, long time, right? But you've been training and lifting. Imagine someone who hasn't been lifting. Actually, adding in some resistance training is going to strengthen their spine and probably help them get out of pain long term. But if you're only doing Pilates, you might be missing some of the gains where your bones can actually heal and repair themselves.
Totally. And not to completely knock Pilates, it's just a different tool, different job. So how can someone fit it all in if you just truly love Pilates and or group fitness?
Okay, so if someone only has time for one thing and wants visible recomposition, should it be Pilates or heavy strength training? Honestly, it's strength training because of the clear lean mass gains, equivalent to like better fat loss when combined with diet, sure. But here's when we bring it all together because the question isn't just Pilates or strength training. It's about how can we create our movement menu? And if you're listening to this, you're probably not going to just buy into one thing forever, right? I don't know what I'm going to like in 5 years. So if I just like cut out all these things, you're losing the focus, which is the foundation, and that is resistance training. Your main course needs to be those 10 to 20 sets of strength training that are hard, spread across your muscle groups. That's your non negotiable for muscle growth, bone density, and metabolic health, and really your insurance policy for independence.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if we're thinking about this in terms of like your movement menu, right? So your main course is your 10 to 20 sets of strength training. And then your foundation, so call it like your plate, right? That's going to be your 8,000 steps daily average. So your general movement, getting your body moving throughout the day. And then you can attack things like we'll call it your toppings. Those
Yes.
are those are Pilates, those are yoga, Orange Theory, cycling, dance, whatever you love, whatever brings you joy. That's the dessert on the movement menu.
And sometimes they do distract from the main thing. You're telling me that mashed potatoes or sweet potato mashed potatoes with truffle isn't better than just like the basic chicken breast I ordered? Yeah, sometimes it looks better, but I can't be surviving on the truffle mac and cheese, okay? I gotta
Right.
have the protein. So, it's not that the toppings are bad. It's just that you have to make sure that doesn't distract from what the main thing is. If you're doing so many Pilates classes that you're now tired for your resistance training and you're like barely making it, your priorities are misaligned if your goals are body recomposition. If your goals are repairing your core stability or working on your posture or like you're super stressed, then you know what? Maybe your priorities are aligned.
Take a little season of Pilates, maybe.
That's right.
So, if you're doing Pilates 3 times a week and you love it, amazing. Add in 2 strength training where you're hitting your major compound lifts like squats, deadlifts, overhead press, rows. Make sure you're getting those 10 to 20 sets per muscle group.
If you are an Orange Theory devotee, then you need to audit. Okay. If you love Orange Theory, that's fine. I love the sweaty high fives too. I love being able to watch watch people demo on the screen. But if you're actually getting an adequate strength stimulus, it's not from Orange Theory. It has some resistance work, but enough volume. We don't even know. It's mixing up all the time. Are you progressively overloading? I don't know. I did boat press one day. You might need to just add in some targeted lifting sessions for what you know you're not getting in that class.
And if you're an overwhelmed adult like the rest of us and you just want to work out, you want results efficiently without all the extra fluff, 3 to 4 strength sessions per week, plus walking, plus whatever brings you joy if you have time. That's it. You don't have to do everything.
Yes, Pilates is like a force multiplier for movement quality, enjoyment, and adherence, adherence, rather than like for like replacement for resistance training and hypertrophy. It's just not. It's apples to oranges, and we love a fruit salad.
We do.
You don't have to be doing all 6 different types of exercise to be healthy. Just nail the non-negotiables like we lined out here, and then everything else will just kind of be a bonus. Okay, I couldn't leave this recording without giving insight to my first ever Pilates class
Ooh,
and
tell
how,
us.
as someone who has been diligently practicing fitness and sports since she was a spry young age of 4 years old, I decided in my other spry years of 32 years old to go to a Pilates class on a reformer with a friend, actually 2 friends for Valentine's Day. So happy anniversary to my first time ever doing Pilates.
Cute.
I've done it 5 times total in my life, so you know where this story is going.
Tell me.
So I go onto this Pilates reformer. I'm like, got the cute aloe matching set on, right? Look good, play good. I've got my matching hot pink aloe set
Oh,
on.
yeah.
I strut into that class 15 minutes early. I'm excited. I got my sticky socks on from Ross. We're pumped. I look around this room and everybody is a stick
And you're just this
and
jacked
knows
lady.
exactly what they're doing. Okay. They are performing this choreographed thing. You would not think that they're on a reformer. We're getting to the point where we're in like a plank hold for like 7.5 minutes. And they're like, and pulse, pulse, pulse. I literally lose control of my arms and my abs because they're so cramped. And I fall on my face. My arms go forward. I hit my forehead onto like where you put your feet, which is hard, not soft.
Yeah, yeah,
And I pop my head up, which like
yeah.
obviously there's mirrors everywhere. So they couldn't see me, but they heard me, and they knew who it was because I didn't meet them up at the top all spry like they did. So I have a bump on my forehead and in my
Wait, is this
ego.
current? Like, right
This
now,
was
or
2 years ago,
okay, I was like,
my
"Wait,
first ever Pilates class ever. I it was maybe like a third of the way into the class. Like, I was not anywhere close to home yet.
oh my
I
god."
bonk my head, I pop up, and of course, I look around as we do, so embarrassed, and everyone has whipped their head around and looked at me,
They all
in the
stared at
mirror or
you?
not. Yes, even the instructor. I was like, "Girl, keep going with the class."
Get with it.
So then I just, like, held back tears, and I was like, "Okay, and next." But it was so hard. I was sore for, like, maybe, like, 10 days. I think I got rhabdo. Like, I couldn't sit up in bed.
It's so funny to think about getting rhabdo from Pilates.
So, like, when I tell you Pilates is hard, it is hard. Did I
Yeah.
elicit a response to change in my core and my
Sure.
shoulders?
Yep.
Sure did. Did I do more sets in that one class than I've done in 3 years? Sure did. So it's also about knowing your body. If
Yeah.
you're, like, considering Pilates and you're an athlete or you've been an athlete, you have that kind of mindset, listen to your body on the first couple too. Like, in order to stay adherent and actually get the benefits from Pilates, again, you have to kind of progressively overload and like do it kind of often. But I had to share that super spooky moment of Pilates.
Thank you for sharing that. I that was very
Yeah.
enjoyable, I'm sure for all of us. I think I only have one experience with reformer. I
Okay.
don't have any memorable experience. I just remember it feeling, like, unnecessarily hard and, like, all the, like, little pulses. I was like, "Why would I do this when I could just go do the leg extension for a few sets?" Like, this is not enjoyable for me.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, it's the stability.
Yeah,
Got it. I'm not engaging my core as much, or most don't, on the knee extension.
yeah,
Like, I'm not practicing standing up and holding my body in an unstable environment. Like, those are the benefits, right, to Pilates. But if you're like, I'm trying to gain some muscle, I want some
yeah,
legs and some
yeah.
resistance training.
I'm just so not a group fitness person either. Like, the idea of having to be somewhere at a specific time, a certain time of week. Which I do that anyway with my own strength training, but, like, that's on my terms. When someone is like, "Nope, it's only available at noon or 4 PM," I'm like, "Ew, no." And
Yeah.
I don't wanna I just don't want to. It's not for me. I just accept
Yeah.
that.
And I do appreciate for the people who are like burnt out and can't make decisions and are like our CEO baddies who are just like making decisions all day. They're like, surrender me into this class. That's who they're for because they can put it into their like rat race routine, like myself on Monday through Wednesday. But
Yeah.
on Thursday and Friday, I'm just like you. If I can't choose when I work out based on when I have decided to eat
Yep,
or when I
yep,
have decided to do my computer work,
yep.
that's not fair. Don't take that from me.
Yeah, so to bring this home, if it isn't already evident, Pilates has real research backed benefits, especially for back pain, core control, and balance. It's not just a trend, but strength training is irreplaceable for muscle growth, bone density, and metabolic health. You can't skip it and expect to get the outcomes from Pilates alone.
And here is the good news you have room for both. If you prioritize the non negotiables first, 10 to 20 sets of resist strength training per week, progressive and hard, then you nail your steps, then you have plenty of space to add in the things that you love, right? You can use movement as a tool and it should feel good. And you can change your body in the ways that you want. It's just not one or the other. It's about knowing the intent and really what you need.
So, color me interested in Pilates for that core strength and back pain relief. So, comment and let us know if you're a Pilates girly and or if you're now wanting to try Pilates and you want to add it to your routine. So, and as always, share this episode with a friend. Connect with us on Instagram at overt_thinking podcast, at Brianna Lamb, at Kelsey Michelle, and we will see
We will
you
see you
in the
in
next
the next
episode.
episode.